Anybody got a new iPhone? I'm gonna go back after a minute. I'm keeping the tab open. Chill. Keeping the tab open. Keep playing the Megan video. Why don't you recreate it? Why don't you recreate it? Exactly. Shut the fuck up.
It's difficult to get excited about the latest iPhone when it rarely looks markedly different from previous models.
I was just got another one coming. A muscle spasm, that is.
Sure.
Benefits of upgrading annually aren't as noticeable compared to the big jump you get if you wait a few years. This year, that's different though.
Stop trying to fuck fans, bro. Hashtag fuck a fan. First of all, if I want it, this is bait.
Thanks mainly to the addition of one prominent feature, USB-C. Yes, the exact same USB-C that Android phones have been using since 2015. It's an example of Apple finally getting out of its own way and letting the iPhone play nicely with pretty much every other device and
That's cap.
charger you could want to use it.
You specifically get on here and just lie.
With. And it's one of the most liberating decisions the company has ever made.
I want to get another iPhone, but I don't know if I should do it. I just got one like a couple months ago because my camera was fucked up on my other one.
The iPhone 14 Pro did not get a radical design change from the iPhone 13.
Oh, great.
Pro, which
so what? This mean you just change the chip in the processor and that's it? They call it new phone? All right, another $1,000 down the drain. Cool.
in turn was not dramatically different from the iPhone 12 Pro. Likewise, the
Sean, I got a shower. I'm going to take you in there with me. I don't consent.
iPhone 15 Pro could be mistaken for any of its recent predecessors if you didn't look too closely. Taking the new iPhone out in the crowd during our review period netted not a single curious eye, and that lack of dazzle will be exacerbated once you throw a case on it and cover up nearly every...
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, if I got to keep my iPhone naked, basically, it's like, or if I don't want to keep it naked, I risk breaking it because it's not like break proof. It's glass.
Noticeable difference. Yeah, it's a bummer. Using a case, which anyone in their right mind should, is kind of sad because the new titanium chassis on the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max is really nice. The iPhone 14 Pro has glossy steel sides that love to collect fingerprints, but the new titanium sides on the iPhone 15 Pro resist them beautifully.
Yeah, but the back of the phone is still gonna grab it, right? Yeah, like, why are you talking like that?
The back features this sort of frosted glass that also resists fingerprints well, hides any scratches that might appear, and just feels really nice in the hand. It's smooth without being slippery. Apple also managed to reduce the size and weight of both the Pro and Pro Max without shrinking their 6.1 and 6.7 OLED screens, respectively. Both reductions are minor, millimeters smaller and a scant few grams lighter, but hey, we'll take it.
What's your most important feature in a phone? When I used to buy iPhone a long time ago, it was really just like I want to have a nice camera, you know, on some side mission. If I get into a situation, I really need to capture an image. I remember the moon looked beautiful one day and I took a picture of it with a phone that I had, and then I wasn't satisfied with the quality after I took the photo. So it really got stuck on camera for me for the most part. You saying processor? Okay, fucking nerd. Battery life, I agree with you. On a full day of use, I probably would be able to get my phone to maybe 15% by the end of the day. And I don't really find it to be that big of a difference from the phone that I had before. Maybe like give or take a couple minutes. Memory? Okay. I'm not asking you to, but I was just saying. What would be my most important feature? I think it's probably between storage and I don't know. I can't think. I never called nobody any name. I don't know what you're talking about.
The only downside here is that just like nearly every year, the differences are just great enough that you'll need to get a new case. All right. Not only is the camera module slightly different, the physical size reduction is going to force the issue. Both dynamically adjust up to 120 Hertz with Apple's ProMotion, have P3 wide color support, haptic touch, and both HDR and Apple's True Tone. All that is pretty much the same as the iPhone 14 Pro, but
great.
The iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max get almost twice as bright at up to 2,000 nits of peak brightness. That is bright.
Oh my God.
Show yourself!
The dynamic island introduced in the iPhone 14 Pro makes a return, as does the always-on display, though you can turn it off if you want. If anything about the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max's exterior design could be called radical, it would be the decision to do away with the switch on the side that, since the very first iPhone, has toggled between ring and silent/vibrate only mode.
Wait, so
and replaced it with what Apple calls the action button.
Oh, please don't.
Dynamic.
Don't
While
do
you
this.
can make that button do exactly what the previous Switch did, it can also be assigned to a range of alternate tasks.
That I'm not ever gonna use, bro.
Open the camera, or go straight to video mode, record a voice memo, turn on the flashlight, or even a shortcut of whatever you're choosing. It seems minor, but it's really...
Bro, if I want to do my thing, I could just get the button and then just do it like this. It's as simple as it's always been.
Quality of life edition. It's time to talk about the best new feature on the iPhone. It finally...
See, I guess when they run out of shit to put on the phone, they just start adding features to stuff that already exists that you would never use beforehand. So now it seems like it's new, but in reality, it's the same shit that it's been. We just making it do a different thing than it used to this time.
Finally uses USB-C. Goodbye, Lightning connector. See you in hell.
Oh, wow.
I can't believe we were stuck with this limited slow cable since the iPhone 5 debuted 11 years ago. It cannot be overstated how big of a quality of life improvement this one upgrade is. Instead of having two cables on your desk, one to charge your PS5 controller and one to charge your iPhone, you can now have one, and it significantly reduces the number of cables you need to carry when you travel. What?
Okay.
One caveat though, while the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max have USB-C, they don't have what most people would describe as fast charging. Apple says the Pro Max is able to give you up to a 50% charge in 35 minutes with a 20-watt adapter or higher, which, by the way, not included with your phone. The Pro gets 50% charge in...
I mean, I've noticed that, but... Like, is it really... Is it going to stop you from leaving the house if your phone isn't fully charged? Like, 9 times out of 10, no.
30 minutes with the same adapter. That's decently fast, but...
And we know a car charger ain't going to charge your shit that fast either, so it's like... I don't know.
Not as fast as many might expect if they were coming from an Android device. Just because it has USB-C support doesn't mean it's your only option. Apple, again, brings back MagSafe, which was introduced in the iPhone 12 for wireless charging at 15 watts. Key is 7.5 watts. And it supports a number of peripherals, including a Belkin stand that will charge it and turn it into a bedside.
Who is doing this? Y'all aren't appealing to regular consumers.
For desktop clock when docked. A nice little melding of hardware and software. Appreciate that. One last feature to mention is the iPhone 15 Pro has voice isolation capability for calls, so it is easier for the person you're calling to hear you if you're in a loud area. It works
that's terrible.
reasonably well and is nice to have when
doesn't charge your phone fast.
That's not about rundown car. Like, a car is going to charge your phone slower than if you had it connected to a wall in a brick. Like, you're really just, you're doing it again. You're doing it again, letting me know that you like for whatever reason, you're going to make me call you a name and I'm not going to do it right now.
you're trying to have a conversation while washing dishes or while at a busy market. Apple spent a good bit of the iPhone 15 reveal event talking about
It was going to be a slur.
15 Pro's gaming chops, even going so far as to promise that its new A17 Pro chip would bring AAA games like Resident Evil Village and Assassin's Creed Mirage, we're talking the full games here, not trimmed down mobile versions, to run natively on iPhone 15 Pro with enough power left over to enable ray tracing lighting effects. Not bad. While we weren't able to push the iPhone 15 Pro or Pro Max to their limits during our review period, since none of the games Apple highlighted were actually available yet, our
Really?
reviewer was able to play both Honkai Star Rail and Genshin Impact, and both ran extremely well with visual settings and frame rates cranked to the max. Didn't see any dropped frames or graphical glitches despite maximum settings, which is a notable.
It's so crazy how this is all I wanted to do with a phone when I was a kid, is play games. I would love this, and now that I have a device that's being like marketed as almost like a separate phone/console, I think it's the worst thing in the world.
Improvement over last year's iPhone 14 Pro.
Like, who would do this?
Which chugs even in the
A serial killer.
menu. Apple's OLED display also shines here. Battery life while gaming is good, but not exceptional. After just a few minutes playing Honkai Star Rail, the phone was down 5%.
Like, I wouldn't even take criticism of the iPhone not being the greatest game player seriously because it's not supposed to be used to play games, in my opinion. So I also wouldn't take it being used as like a marketing tool to get me to buy it seriously either. It just feels like a massive waste of time. Nigga, Spider-Man 2 is coming out in less than a month almost. Like, are you not reading the room?
We estimated it was pulling about 1% of battery life for every minute and a half to 2 minutes, which is a pretty fast drain and would amount to around an hour and a half to 2 hours of intensive play without having to plug it back in. Apple says the iPhone 15 Pro can last for up to 20 hours of streamed video.
Oh my fucking God, I know that is not Resident Evil 4 on the iPhone. You just took like 2 of my worst nightmares and put them into one device. There's no way.
Back and realize the early App Store games were peak entertainment.
They were now that I sit back and think about it.
Content, while the Pro Max can go for 25 hours, which is pretty close to what Samsung promises with its S23 Ultra. But games are far more energy intensive and will burn through the battery even faster. For the first time in a few years, only the iPhone 15 Pro Max gets the best camera Apple could offer, but that difference is reserved for the level of optical telephoto zoom. While the sensor behind that lens remains the same as last year, Apple put a new 120mm tetraprism lens in front of it that gives you nearly double the optical zoom you'll get out of the iPhone 14 Pro and iPhone 15 Pro.
Okay.
The quality of the images out of its 12 megapixel camera is pretty much as expected. You can just see from farther away. The main camera on both phones is improved by its ability to shoot 24 megapixel photos instead of last year's 12. Just like last year, it is possible to shoot with the full 48 megapixel resolution that the sensor captures.
It's 48 now?
But
it don't look like it.
You do sacrifice dynamic range in order to get that additional resolution. The resolution bump to 24 megapixels without...
You know what? I take that back.
Sacrificing dynamic range in the iPhone 15 and 15 Pro gets a big thumbs up, especially if you're a photographer. To be frank, most users won't find themselves using smartphone photos in a way where 24 megapixels is going to change their lives, but anyone who plans to edit and otherwise publish these photos is nearly always going to be happy with a higher resolution. If nothing else, it lets you crop in more without losing details. Apple has also made portrait mode engage by default. If the camera senses a person or animal in the frame, it automatically captures a depth map that will allow you to add the depth effect later, should you want it.
I don't like that.
That depth map also allows you
Oh God, I hate that.
to change the focus point between
Jesus Christ, that's bad.
two subjects in post-production.
I want them to stay away from that. Just take the picture. Just take the picture. The other added like effects, like leave that for Lightroom people and Adobe. Like leave that for the people that edit like actual raw, you know, pictures from a camera in JPEG files. I don't want to shit on the phone because it's about convenience, okay? Obviously, you could buy a PS5 or an Xbox One and not spend the money to get a phone. Like, it's not supposed to replace a console, just like it's not supposed to replace a camera. But I just feel like if you just stay away from those other details, it just makes it come off less as if you're trying to like replace those other things or make it seem like, oh, well, this is a nice alternative, because it's not when you actually show what the real image, like what the actual image from like a DSLR or a mirrorless camera looks like. It's like not a competition. So the extra effects, I just feel like it's a little insulting. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Should you desire, and I think that
Sean, I'm not buying a $2,000 DSLR. Okay, fine, you broke bitch. Buy a $600 mirrorless camera. It doesn't cost that much to start off with photography. It's not that crazy.
it's pretty damn cool.
A nice camera isn't even the biggest thing that you should worry about. It's about the lens. If you get a nice lens on a bullshit camera, you can still take some nice pictures. Obviously, you wouldn't want to print those photos or like zoom them out, but you can get like a couple $100 DSLR or mirrorless camera, get a really nice lens to put on it. Not even a costly lens. A costly lens probably like a good lens will run you what, like 200, and then a body will be like 1 to 3 maybe. You can get a lot of good quality images, especially as a beginner photographer starting off with something like that. It would actually be cheaper than the fucking phone to buy a cheap DSLR body and a nice lens. It would be cheaper than buying this fucking phone if you wanted to hop into photography.
The iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max can also record up to 4K at 60p, but not out of the box. This is a feature that has been added thanks specifically to the speed provided by the aforementioned USB-C port. While all other resolutions and frame rates are available to record directly to the iPhone's internal storage, 4K at 60p requires an attached SSD. The good news is...
I know they did just say that. Hold on. Sorry. My bad.
All other resolutions...
Hold on. Wait. Go back.
Not out of the box. 15 Pro and Pro Max can also record up to 4K at 60p, but not out of the box. This is a feature that has been added thanks specifically to the speed provided by the aforementioned USB-C port. While all other resolutions and frame rates are available to record directly to the iPhone's internal storage, 4K at 60p requires an attached SSD.
What the fuck are you talking about? Why is this offered then?
The good news is that all photos and videos can easily be...
Nobody's doing that, bro. You know how fucking stupid you're gonna look?
...transferred to and from that external drive at USB 3.0 speeds,
right,
which is a massive improvement to workflow over previous iPhones, which either required the...
You know, it's recording at 4K at 60 is going to drain your camera battery, but guess what? You can't charge your fucking phone because you're attached to an SSD. You're attached to an SSD because you want to record in 60 frames at 4K. So once your phone's done dying after you've recorded your little video, then you can charge it when you take the bitch out.
Pitifully slow lightning connection, or the somewhat faster AirDrop, provided where you're trying to send it is also an Apple device.
Oh my God, I hate them so much.
Now, data management is far faster and more platform agnostic.
Wireless charging enabled? Okay, how close do you have to be to your wireless charging if you're also trying to record something in 4K at 60 frames? I would imagine if you're trying to record at that quality, you would be like moving or outside and not close enough for your phone to also be charging while you're moving. I could be wrong though. You know what I'm saying?
Apple's annual smartphone refreshes have felt especially incremental since the iPhone X, and at first blush, that appears to have happened again with the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max. Their attractive
wireless charging pack. Okay, so how much does that cost?
Titanium edges and useful customizable action button are fairly subtle to the eye and the first things to get covered up by a case, of course. That is, however, deceptive. Apple has changed quite a bit internally to make this year's phone its most compelling upgrade since the iPhone 11,
okay,
especially if you're passionate about photography or video. While the universal compatibility and transfer speeds of USB-C are a headline addition, the upgraded game...
They are significantly better, I'm gonna be honest. It is beautiful. The transfer speeds of any type of file using USB-C over just a standard USB is actually crazy.
Gaming ready processor, better,
like hours of difference, I'm gonna be honest.
Their camera software and titanium chassis are all notable improvements.
And yeah, you got it.
For more handheld gaming reviews, make sure to check out our review of the Asus ROG Ally, and for everything else, keep it right here on IGN.
All right, are y'all sold? Are you getting a new iPhone based off that? I just got a 14 probably before the summer started, so I'm good. This did not sell me, but I would definitely say if there's an aspect to this that is giving you like interest, I would probably assume it would be the camera. From a social perspective, I get it. Phone makes more sense than carrying around a big camera. I get it. But like the shit that you can capture just making a small $400 to $500 investment in a camera and just keeping your cheap bitch ass old iPhone will just put you in such a better position. You just don't get it. You are a sheep if you get one. Well, not if you haven't got one in a long time. You know what I mean? Why did you just put small in air quotes? People aren't that into photography. I know people that have mirrorless cameras that aren't even into photography. They just know like, okay, what if I really want to capture this moment? Like just on standby. It's not even like a thing that you have to be into. It's just like, I'm not saying it's a necessity, but like, you know, it's just one of those extra things just to have, just in case, you know. USB-C is the only W. I'm mad the Pro Max gets the better zoom. Top-notch camera is gonna run more than 500. You don't need a top-notch camera. You just need a good lens. Like, if you are a baseline level photographer, you don't need a top-notch camera because you're not gonna know what the fuck to do with it. And 9 times out of 10, the top-notch cameras, in terms of the difference from the other cameras, isn't that big for an amateur eye to see the difference. So you generally don't need it like that. I'm just saying, if you just wanted one for casual use, you could still get amazing quality images off of a few $100 investment. I'm into photography once every couple months, though. It's still good to have one, I feel like. Honestly, 14 is good enough. You talking about the iPhone 14? I agree with you. I don't think I need another one, and I probably won't get another one until, like, realistically speaking, until something goes wrong with this one. Here comes Sean thinking he's better. You literally just tried to car shame me earlier, saying, what kind of rundown car do you have that doesn't charge a phone fast? I'm on to your bullshit. Suck my dick. That's so crazy. Okay, we just saw you try to car shame me because you don't know that cars charge phones slower than a brick. You asshole. Number one. Number two, definitely get that camera if you got the extra lying around. I'm not gonna lie. A Canon T7 costs about $300-400, fairly cheap for a good camera. I hear Canon cameras are pretty good. I never have owned one. I hear they're good with color processing, but Nikon is probably a better, you know, option for like image quality a little bit, like sharpness. But they're not. Neither one are like bad. They're not like crazy different. But that was my narrative when I was becoming like a little mini photographer when I was growing up.